Hi everyone, welcome to What's Working in Video. I'm your host, Kathleen Celmins. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Amplified Now, a video-first content marketing agency that helps people get their content marketing done and get out of their own way and have it bring in more leads and sales while they're able to do all the other things that are required of them in their business. Today, I have with me Brendan. Would you like to introduce yourself and your company?
Yeah, thanks for having me. My name is Brendan Hufford. I run a company called SEO for the Rest of Us. While building and growing SEO teams at two different agencies, I was frustrated with the resources out there that made SEO more confusing, added more confusion than clarity. So decided to start my own. And the mothership, so to speak, is at SEOfortherestofus.org.
How does video impact SEO?
I decided to leverage video because it's, first of all, like with YouTube, it's its own search engine. It has its own area of discoverability. It was also an area that I could play in. So a lot of times when people think of SEO, they think of Google. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of different search engines, right? Quora, Amazon, Reddit, YouTube, and Google. Like there's a lot of search engines outside of the typical like web search engines that we think of, like Google, Bing, DuckDuckGo, et cetera. So to answer your question super directly, how does video influence SEO in terms of Google SEO? I think what's cool about video is you have a chance to be surfaced in two search engines. So sometimes Google knows like, hey, the thing that people really want here is a video, not a blog post, not an article, not a page, not text. So you have a chance to be surfaced both in Google and in YouTube, which I think is really, really effective. Additionally, you can do some really cool things with the video to change what I would call the content experience of a blog post. Not just embedding a video of like, hey, this says the same thing as the blog, although that is valuable in a lot of ways. I like to embed different videos that go specifically with that blog post. It might add context, it might show some cool, pull some other aspects in that only video can do. So I think you can lend it to a really cool content experience. Also from an SEO standpoint, when you embed video into your articles, the video has a higher chance of ranking in search. I've seen that quite a bit lately.
Okay, that's super interesting. So why do you think that embedding it in a blog post helps with search and discoverability when you're just embedding a YouTube video anyway?
I think what it's helping to do is surface like, hey, these are connected. It helps Google's algorithm and kind of machine learning model, call it AI even, helps it make the connection between, hey, here's written content on this, and here is video on this. As much as we would assume that because Google and YouTube are owned by the same parent company called Alphabet now, Alphabet's been the name of their parent company for a while, we assume that they talk together. But anybody who's worked in a large company knows that even having teams talk to each other is hard, never mind two separate products. So I think the more that we can show those connections to Google, to search engines that, hey, these are related, the more likely they are to be discovered.
That's really interesting. So what we do for our clients is we always embed. We say that it has to go on YouTube because Google owns it. I know they don't talk, but they have similar technology. So we're not talking about YouTube versus Vimeo right now. For content marketing, it goes on YouTube, period. And then what we do is we have a writer on our team rewrite the transcript so that it reads like a blog post, not like a transcript, which has been really helpful in terms of quality and readability. Because in my mind, the Venn diagram of people who watch the video and read the blog post are like this. Maybe a tiny bit of overlap, but not like, it's not enough to like worry about repeating yourself. When you embed it, do you think that the meta really matters on like a YouTube description? Would you put the entire post in the description, or how would you treat that?
Yeah, so I've experimented with a few different things. I can't say like unequivocally what matters. I want to try and fill out as much of my description as possible. I want to build that out, really optimizing for keeping people there in the video, and then also trying to increase their session time. So giving them as many links as possible to playlists, other videos that are related, etc. And then I'll fill it out. I've been lazy in the past and just pasted part of my blog post in there. I've given people key takeaways. If they're down in the description reading, they don't want to click the links I want them to click. All right, maybe they want to read something. That can be valuable as well. Anything that gives them more value out of it increases their kind of affinity for you as a creator or brand. The one thing that really I used to do is just upload videos to YouTube and then go back and do the description later. And I talked to some smart people and they were like, we don't have data that shows that YouTube will continue checking your videos over time after you upload. So whatever you have in the description when you upload may be the only thing they see about the video from a description standpoint. So make sure you have that done ahead of time, because what I was doing previously was uploading the video, then writing the blog post and going back and putting that in. Treating it as its own unique channel and making sure that description is built out ahead of time has been super helpful.
When you develop an SEO strategy for someone, whether that's a one-person business or a small business, where do you draw the line on search versus humans?
If we're talking strictly about like Google SEO and not YouTube, I think when we blend the two, when we talk about video and written, the reason I focus a lot on video and podcasting is I'm not going to outrank HubSpot. I can't get more backlinks than HubSpot. When Neil Patel can buy Ubersuggest, fold Ubersuggest into his website and pick up 100,000 backlinks in a day, I can't build those in a lifetime. So I'm not going to try to rank in Google for these things. But I know that most of the YouTube videos about SEO are watching a wet blanket. Like there's no personality. It's not entertaining. I was a teacher for 10 years. I can bring the show. So I go where I can over-index.
We also believe that our clients can't outrank the big guys and that they don't need to in order to play. So most of the people that work with us are not playing the organic traffic SEO game necessarily. They're not going for 100,000 views. They're going for 10 clients. It's a different strategy altogether. I mean, we add keywords, but we almost never have a keyword first content strategy. How do you build that for your clients?
So I'll talk about video and then written real quick. So the robot versus human debate. From a video standpoint, a lot of times what's best for humans is also the YouTube algorithm. That's what I love about the ecosystem on YouTube is, and we can debate this, is it's far more democratic than Google. Is it actually democratic? Not really, but watch time, session time, like that's something in your control to a degree. And understanding how to make videos and create open loops and all the things that keep people watching. You know, I always say you want 75% of people to watch 75% of the video. And then YouTube will start promoting it. That's just making something that's good for people, right? When I used to, due to my own insecurities, have a 2-minute intro at the beginning of where I like laid out my credentials and all these other things. Nobody wants that. The best intros are like, hey, you don't know me, but here's what we're going to talk about today. Here's how it's going to help you. Let's get into it, right? Give them what they want, make it for them. The robots versus humans thing is a little bit different when it comes to Google. It used to be very different where you would see like keyword stuffing, put your keywords in your header tags and use it 8 times, but not too much, but just enough. They had this like keyword density thing. It all used to work. I did all the spammy things that people say don't do. I did all of them. And I can tell you that it's not that it doesn't still work. It's just that it's not as necessary anymore, because we have to consider like of the people, if we write something extremely robotic based on a content brief or based on some sort of feeling about here's what Google wants. For instance, for a long time, a lot of the SEO plugins that don't do anything for SEO, let's just let everybody know that your SEO plugin does not help you rank better. It does helpful things. One of those things is not rank better. It used to say like, use your keyword in the first sentence. Why would that ever make sense? Why not start with a story? Why not start with a hook? Why not ask a question, right? All those things that get people engaged in reading. I always index for humans on a long enough timeline. That's where Google's going, is they want something that's better for humans, because if we look at their revenue, it all comes from ads. Nobody will go to a search engine and click the ads if the organic results aren't good. So they are ruthlessly protecting those organic results and trying to make them better so that people keep coming back. They have their user data, they know. So that's a big piece of it. I think that the robot versus human creates like a false dichotomy. Like we were talking about the Venn diagram, right? it used to be like very separate. You could tell articles that were very robotic, and then you could tell articles that were like very human, but probably would never rank for anything. I was talking to my buddy Roberto Blake not that long ago. He's big on YouTube. And he was just like, look, like if you have such a big ego that you want to make stuff for you and then you're mad that it doesn't rank, like that's on you.
Yeah,
Make things that are focused on discoverability, right? I want to help people who don't know me, who have never heard of me. I want it to be discoverable. That means really understanding their search intent. I think that matters. Search intent matters more than keyword research, all these other like SEO-y things that we talk about. Really understand if somebody's Googling this, what do they really want? They're using these words. Do they want to, like, you read things from like the gurus that say like, every article needs to be 2,000 words. Everything's a pillar, 8,000 words. Like, is that does anybody want an 8,000 word article really ever? No. And does the fact that it's longer mean that helps it rank better? I would disagree. So I always look at the intent. A good example is the search phrase digital marketing skills. It is it's my core example of like the worst copycat content. Somebody ranked for digital marketing skills. And if you Google that right now, it's 17, 10, 5, not like every article starts with a number.
Right.
It's so bad. They're just all copying. One of them says like, and if you read them, they're not helpful.
Right.
They're like
copywriting.
Copywriting.
Web design. Margins.
Be likable.
Yeah. Right.
Just be likable. Oh, okay. I never thought of that. Like they're so unhelpful. But if you look at the auto completes and you look at the way like the auto suggest that comes up, and I always check, even at whether I'm writing or making a video, I always check Google and YouTube because they could be a little different. If you look at digital marketing skills, the auto suggests are for career, for resume, 2021. And I all of a sudden was like, oh, these are people who want to learn new digital marketing skills that are current to put on their resume to change their lives, to have a promotion, get a better career. And I was a teacher for 10 years. I learned digital marketing. I changed my life. Like, I'm why not start with that story, with that deep place of empathy, right? And yeah, I might not rank number one for digital marketing skills because my website isn't the biggest and most authoritative, but when somebody gets there, they'll start reading and I guarantee they will do a physical like, oh, this is what I wanted. You're my person, right? I'm home. And that's what you want. If you want conversions and business results, you're not going to get it with starting your article like, are you wondering what the best digital marketing skills are for 2021? Because you feel like that's an SEO thing that you should start with? No, just write for people. And I think I was talking to somebody else recently. I think it really comes down to taste. Mm-hmm. You have to have good taste. And if you want to be good at Google SEO, you have to get really, like the books that I read are not about SEO, right? Like I have Breakthrough Advertising by Eugene Schwartz, great book on copywriting, Draft Number 4 by John McPhee. I have Stephen King's book on writing. Like I'm trying to be and all the rest of these are like copywriting book. Like that's what all these are, because that's what you need. You need to make people feel at home. You have to understand if they're coming in from not knowing you at all, what do they really want out of this? Mm-hmm. And I think that's true for both video and text.
Well, I agree, especially because for the people that we help, people who are building a business on the things that they know. To me, it's again, like when those digital marketing skills is a really good example. It's also like metrics you should measure on a website, right? So people come to me and they're like, well, the page views and the email subscribers and the this and the that. And I'm like, leads. That's it. You need leads. You need to communicate with them, and you need some of them to convert to customers. And the way to do that is to match the questions that they have in various parts of the customer journey into something that you can answer. And to me, video is a really good way to let your past self work out some of the sales process for your future self, where you're answering a question. And again, the knowledge industry is fairly evergreen. So it's all about the problems that you solve. And whenever somebody has that problem, your answer is relevant. And then you can today you can answer a question that somebody will have in 8 months. And they'll connect with you later on something like that. This was super helpful. Are there any tools you would recommend for people getting started in video or working through SEO or?
Yeah, I think so. I'm a big believer in like do it yourself until it's so painful that you need to hire somebody to do it for you. So, not just know, is this going to be like money in, money out, right? Like most marketing services and different marketing activities are not that straightforward that I know if I put $1 in that I get even Facebook ads and Google ads where you think that wouldn't be really easy, it's still very complicated. So, even I was talking to somebody this morning about the nightmare that setting up a Facebook ad pixel is still. Like, it's still really a mess. So I think like it's not that simple to just put money in, money out. And then when you're looking at tools and you're looking at services, understanding like cost to benefit and these things are I get this question a lot when it comes to SEO. Like, what tools should I use? Like, from a video standpoint, I've edited everything myself in iMovie. And that's it. And I knew the pain of that. And now I pay thousands of dollars a month to have somebody take my podcast, cut it into clips, hand edit it, hand transcribe it into the video. Like all of I can put out 7 videos a week on every single platform and all these different things. I'm even leaning into that on YouTube because they're short clips. So all my titles are, how to find a mentor in 78 seconds. Right? Learn SEO in 48 seconds. Like I'll just put it in the title, how long the video is to make a point. I want to test and see if that works. I don't think it will. I think longer videos do better on YouTube, but I want to see, but do it yourself and then invest in the tools, then invest in the services. So you're like, it's not just money in, money out. It's like my time, my visceral pain at editing a 60-minute podcast into 10 clips. It took me 2 months to like get it done. And by the end, I was so burned out. So now you just pay somebody for it. I think in terms of like actual tactical tools that I use, I bought TubeBuddy a long time ago. I use that on YouTube. I don't have like a strong take on that. There's a lot of different SEO tools out there. Ones that I like, I use Ahrefs and I use SEMrush. Don't have a strong feeling on either of them. Some people have very strong, like, all the nerds have a very strong feeling on like the databases of I don't really care. I don't care because I'm more concerned with the human side of it, which is again, where I'm in a very Wayne Gretzky sort of way. Like I'm skating to where the puck is going to be versus worrying about where the puck is right now. I'm more concerned with writing the best evergreen human article, creating the best evergreen human video versus trying to manipulate some sort of algorithm right now. But those tools can be helpful. They can let you know, like, hey, here's very commonly how people phrase this. I just look at it as audience research. Other ones, I'll give 2 tools, very specific shout outs. So there's a tool called Phrase. I think it's frase.io.
Okay.
And yep, phrase.io is a great one. And then I would also shout out, Phrase pulls like, here's what all the other articles are talking about. Here's some topics, just to make sure you don't have gaps in what you're creating. The other one is SparkToro. So SparkToro.com, probably my favorite tool right now because it's real genuine audience research. Here's the people, like and it's not just, it's easy in marketing to find the other marketers. It's a very like snake eating its own tail kind of thing. But what if I was an accountant? What if I was a CPA? And I was like, all right, I want to make this thing that helps other CPAs. Who do they follow? What podcasts do they listen to? SparkToro pulls all of that and they're like, hey, people who use the word CPA in their Twitter bio, they talk about these 10 podcasts. They follow these 11 people. These are their websites. They share the most. Like all of a sudden it's like, oh, I didn't even know about those podcasts. I should try and be a guest on those podcasts. I should have those people on my podcast. I should feature them in a YouTube video, build friendships, build relationships, right? Like all of a sudden, I just think it's really, really good audience research. And at the end of the day, whether you're doing video or text or whatever media you're making around your business, understanding your audience at a deeper level is going to have huge dividends. And SparkToro is huge for that.
This is so good. Thanks so much, Brendan. Where can people find you? We'll link to that below on YouTube and in the blog post.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it's not because I'm good at SEO, but you can Google Brendan Hufford, spell it as poorly. I'm not going to spell it for you because it really doesn't matter. It's not because I'm good at SEO, just very unique name. So you can start there. SEOfortherestofus.org is a great starting place. But since we're talking about video, like, just look at what I'm doing on social media. Again, like all that'll come up in Google, or hop over to YouTube, look at SEO for the Rest of Us and Brendan Hufford, 2 separate channels, and just take a look at what I'm doing there. Look at the views, look at what seems to be working, what's getting the engagement, and things like that.
Cool. Thanks so much.
Of course. Thanks for having me on.